Welcome, and here we go again, and welcome to the midweek video on Miss Lewis Room. This week we have been focusing on Torchwood, and today I will be bringing you my verdict on Children of Earth. First, I need to tell you about our podcast on Doctor Who Time and Space at Podomatic, or iTunes at Doctor Who Time and Space, or TuneIn at Doctor Who Time and Space, or the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance. You can find our show weekly, every Wednesdays. I'm going to link it in the bio. And we just have a general natter about Doctor Who. This week we're reviewing David Tennant's final story, The End of Time. And we've got a fun little game in store. So, and talking about how, we're coping at the moment. So, yeah, please join in. They're reasonably short shows at the moment because we're apart and the connection's a bit poor because we're in different places. But yeah, every Wednesday night, me and Dr. Cool do it, and we're still doing it now, even in this lockdown. So I'd appreciate it a lot if you tuned into that. Anyway, today I will be talking about Children of Earth, which is what I consider to be the best series of Torchwood, and one of my favourite things in the Whoniverse, if I'm honest. So I think this is a strong, near-perfect series of Torchwood. It takes a different approach to what Series 1 and 2 took. Series 1 and 2 were very episodic things. They, if that's the right word for it, they had a different story each episode, maybe with a brief connection between them. And, yeah, they were just a selection of standalone stories and screened over the consecutive weeks. Whereas here, Russell T Davies, who was put in charge of the show after Chris Chibnall left in Series 2, Russell T Davies took a really different approach at the series. And instead of taking that standalone format, he did a sort of a series, a mini-series. 5 episodes screened over 5 days in the week. Day 1, Day 2, Day 3, Day 4, Day 5 they were called. And it was called Children of Earth. And it's quite epic. It's quite explosive. It's quite shocking. It's quite dark. It's actually the darkest thing in the Whoniverse, probably. And it just really works. Everything is at its best in terms of Torchwood. The writing is superb. The pacing is absolutely perfect. It's not too slow-paced, not too fast-paced. All the actors are at their best. John Barrowman delivers a great, harrowing performance as Captain Jack in possibly his darkest hour as the character, because he's been responsible for the deaths of children and everything. And Gwen, Eve Miles, is absolutely terrific here. And gives some really thought-provoking performances, especially how her pregnancy and how she considers being a mother and giving a child, and how her view of that is affected by what's going on, and the fact that because the world is so grim, she doesn't want to bring up a child in that particular world. Reese, played by Kai Owen, is great in this series. He gets a focus here, which he was in it a bit in Series 1 and 2, but he's in it a lot more here, and he plays a more significant role as part of Team Torchwood. Ianto, it's his final hour in Torchwood, but it's his strongest hour, and he appears in 4 out of 5 episodes here, and he's great, played by Gareth David Lloyd. The guest cast are all superb. Peter Capaldi is smashing as Frobisher, and there's a really tragic sequence in the final episode which just delivers such a strong, performance there, and it really brings a tear. Ian Gelder's great as whatever he's called, his character. I should have researched the character name, shouldn't I? The Prime Minister actor's good. I mean, all the actors, Lois, whoever plays her, they're all great, and there's a really strong cast going on here. There's also different strands of the story that all come together. On one hand, you've got this really gripping, shocking, explosive arc, which involves Torchwood being disbanded after the government realised that they were in the know about what was going on, and they needed to be destroyed. And it's a really great arc. And the ending of part one, in which it's revealed that the government are trying to destroy Torchwood and the base is blown up, leaving Jack inside the rubble, is just great. And the fact that in part two we get to see Jack's body sort of reform is really grim, and it really shows the sort of extent of Jack's immortality. Part two mainly, so part one we see the children stopping, and that's a really sort of stirring scene, when the children stop, and it happens a few times. It's really creepy and really interesting. I think immediately it's interesting, and it immediately had me hooked from the get-go. Day two is more about them sort of being hunted down. There's not really much development in day two, which is why I think it's the weakest one, but I still think it's great. And yeah, not really much happens. It's just them running away from various explosions and life threatening situations, and there's a lot of action in it. It feels a bit like Jason Bourne. Day three is really interesting. We get more development on the 456, the aliens in this series, and they arrive, and the 456 are really creepy, really horrific villains. And yeah, we get to see them and what they want, and the cliffhanger is possibly the finest in the modern universe. Day four is my personal favourite. It shows Jack and in flashbacks to his mission to hand over the children to save the world, and the government, which is personally my favourite scene of the series, the government deciding which 10% of children they will hand over to the 456, which is really realistic stuff. The fact that they tried to hand over the illegal immigrant children and the sort of the orphans and everything. It's really sad, but it would happen. Those are the ones that would be chosen, and it's really sad. And we get to see how grim those government decisions are and how unpleasant these government people have turned as a result, and the world is just destroyed. The cliffhanger itself is again immense, where we get to see Ianto's death, and them trying to stop the 456 and failing dramatically. Day five is also terrific. It's got so many great moments. The opening speech involves Gwen saying wondering why the Doctor didn't turn up to save the day on various occasions, and saying that she realizes why, because he would turn his head away in shame after seeing what the human race had done here. And it's just so tense throughout. The resolution of the whole plot, which I didn't know how they possibly resolve it, is tremendous and really hard going. It makes a lot of people hate Jack. And the scene where Frobisher kills himself and his family is really emotional. So yes, so many brilliant sequences throughout those 5 episodes. Such a complex, well thought out, original, exciting story. And the fact that the 456 don't even want these children to survive, they want them as drugs, is just even more grim. And it shows the brutality and the capability that this race have. And it's just there's not any flaws, like major flaws, that I could pick out of this series. It's really great television. It's available on iPlayer, and if you've not watched Torchwood, I don't know, I'd recommend watching that. I think you can watch it without watching any of the others, so I'd recommend watching series 3 if you want something to watch. Anyway, thank you for tuning in today. I will be back tomorrow with my review of Miracle Day. That'll be interesting. And then on Friday, I think I'm going to shake it up a bit and do a review. I think I'm going to pick out a random episode and review it, you know? That'll be fun. So, yeah, that should be interesting. Anyway, leave your thoughts of Children of Earth below, and come back here tomorrow from 5 for another video, and it's Miracle Day time. Should be a lot of fun. Anyway, see you then. Goodbye.